Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And we did catch some data earlier today out of the UK. You can see here quite a bit, actually. Not only business investment, but we did go in and get GDP estimate. Came in just a little bit weaker than what was expected. And we take a look at the cable here, down a little bit here, which finally we got below 38, so that might had a bit of an impact there. Industrial output, manufacturing output, and construction output, a bevy of data actually. And then Spanish CPI came in an hour ago, and that's going to be it until we roll into the States, and then we do get Canadian wholesale trade. University of Michigan, that'll be preliminary at 10 a.m. Eastern. And speaking of the cable, a little bit of a dip under 38. And the euros dip back a little bit here. And Aussie, same thing, just relatively quite a little bit of a dip. Now, we did go in and get a little bit of a pullback just a little while ago. Saw a little bit of a cascade here in the NQ. We've come back now. We actually did find some support just right under this 363. We've kind of popped up a bit here. But we did see that break. Now you can see they've not been able to, so far on a closing basis, have not been able to get past this 13,735. You can see the few pokes above it. And then you can see right here, as we did back, we had a couple of almost like little gravestone dojis almost. So then that allowed this to break hard. You can see right there we held. I've kind of popped back. We're right at that pivot area, 384. We're actually just above it here. Actually, 13,693 is the is actually the pivot. The point of control from yesterday. So we'll see if maybe we dip back a bit. We'll see whether or not we do. And Bitcoin actually pushed up a little bit higher yesterday, and then actually ended up not, after pushing up, it looked like he's going to really make a chance to really break higher, and we've kind of paired back from this area here. So let's go and see where we stand in the news. Come back up in here. And Richard says, good morning. Good morning, Richard. And let's pop into the news. The Australian-New Zealand dollar slipped on Friday as risk sentiment took a knock after alarmingly high U.S. jobless claims and Victoria State's entry into the 5-day snap lockdown after a fresh coronavirus outbreak in Melbourne linked to the UK strain. Australian dollar was at 77.39 as the lockdown started at midnight on Friday. The country's second most populous state cast a shadow over the broader economy recovery. New Zealand dollar was slightly weaker at 72.13. Aussie measures of consumer and corporate sentiment, card spending, credit growth, and home building surpassed expectations in recent months, underpinning the Aussie dollar. However, a sharp circuit breaker banned public gatherings, it does say home auctions, wedding and religious gatherings in Victoria. Also, worrying investors, U.S. data overnight showed weekly jobless claims were alarmingly high. Meanwhile, the virus front was declining infection trends in most countries and hospitalizations rates too. A vaccination rollouts proceeding apace, all encouraging sufficient to allow markets to price in much full economic reopenings in the second half of 2021 than they already are eyeing. And then on to the dollar. Dollar headed for a weekly loss. Bitcoin hits record $49,000. Um, Dollar held its first losing, headed for its first losing week in three as the new signs of weakness in U.S. jobless claims dented investors' expectations about the pace of economic recovery from the pandemic. With the names like BONY getting in, it's laying the groundwork to even more mainstream adoption of Bitcoin, said Jeffrey Wang. The medium term, the momentum is very strong, and the market is going to want to test 50,000. Dollar remained on the backside on Friday in Asia, pinned 2-week lows after the release of the weaker than expected jobless claims. Some see it as bolstering the currency as it should speed a U.S. recovery relative to other countries, and that's in speaking of Biden's stimulus package. The U.S. economy will outperform most thanks to the fiscal stimulus and faster vaccine deployment, but ongoing inflationary and fiscal and monetary policy will leave the dollar index on a sustained medium-term bear trend. Nothing noteworthy at all. Bitcoin surged to an all-time high after BNY Mellon announced its crypto venture. Bitcoin on Thursday jumped to fresh all-time highs after BNY Mellon said it formed a new unit to help clients hold, transfer, and issue digital assets. The BNY Mellon announcement came days after Elon Musk Tesla revealed it had bought $1.5 billion worth of the cryptocurrency and would accept it as a form of payment for its cars. Also, companies probably do. Some retail investors are going to say, well, would Bitcoin probably fail, but there's still a low chance that it may not fail, and so they want to be a part of it. Says Reuters Global Market Forum. Rival cryptocurrency Ethereum was 3% higher at 1793. Okay, once again, not offering much there, so we'll just move into the analysis. And FX didn't move that much on Thursday, so not a whole lot of analysis due on that. The euro closed slightly higher on Thursday. Resistance on Thursday will remain 21.59 with support at 20.73. So that'll move to 20.73 here. Onto cable. Cable took a pause on Thursday. Resistance on Friday will remain 38.52 with support at 37.35. So the only difference here is 37.35. Onto the Aussie dollar. The Aussie closed slightly higher on Thursday. Resistance on Friday will be 77.64 with support at 76.98. And resistance at 77.64. On to the Kiwi. And like I said, we didn't really move very much. So on Thursday, so it's not really most of the analysis is pretty much similar as far as the resistance and support. The Kiwi closed flat on Thursday. Resistance on Friday will remain 72.39 with support at 71.66. So that one is just identical. No changes. Dollar CAD. Dollar CAD held flat in a quiet session. Support on Friday will be 26.55 with the resistance at 27.44. No changes on dollar CAD. Like I said, it was super quiet. I mean, it looks a little bit more bigger there, but when you look at it, you can see it barely even moved. Putting a little bit of space right now, and we are at bias chart resistance here. See whether or not we do something with that. Dollar peso. Dollar peso closed lower in a quiet session. Support on Friday will be 19.94, so we did change that with resistance at 29.12. So 19.94. 29.12. On to dollar yen. Dollar yen closed higher on Thursday. Friday's resistance will be 496 with support at 452. Well, we're kind of putting a little bit of a push in here, right there. And we're finally starting to break out a little bit. So at least for now, it would just be right there at that. You can see that coincides with this high and this low. It's going to be 514. So it's on the move, and it actually spent a couple of days sitting there. So 514, we'll go with that. And 452, which is that big level. On to the cash dollar index. No changes here in the cash dollar index. It's the same, which we've had, which was support for the bounce of the week is 89.90 with the resistance at 91.06. And actually, yes, remember yesterday we did move it down to 9.98, but that it still remains the same here. So moving to the cross rates. No change here in the Kiwi yen. You can see here we just actually we did update this a little bit lower previously, which we had put this at 75.29. So that we did update as well. I think with the high, which was 75.93, but no changes from yesterday. Onto the euro pound. We're still languishing down here, and no, we have kind of held here. Previously, we had our resistance at 80.18. There's no changes on that. And 87.34 for support. We're making a stand here, so it's actually going to be right there at that level right there, 87.52. Euro odd. No change here. We're just holding here at the bottom. No change whatsoever. Moving on to the Euro Kiwi. A little bit of a break higher here. At 68.53. We may get a little bit of a push going into the weekend, but that's going to remain the same here. 68.53. The low 67.20. This would change. It'd be right there at that close. See right there? 67.21. Well, actually, there we go. So we'll move it up one pip, but that's the same also. On to the Aussie yen. We're still pushing the upside here. Look at that. With the Aussie yen. Upside 81.28, that's going to stay the same. Downside 80.35, that's going to remain the same. So no change even on the Aussie yen. On to the guppy. You can see here, we're just not trading. Look at this. Look how tight these ranges are. So that's why we're just not seeing any changes here. We have 45.19 with 40.46, no change. Downside, in case we broke, we had put for 43.73. At this point, it has to be right there, 44.01. And lastly, starting odd. We had 79 even, and we're still at 78, 78.41. We did make a poke up in here, so that 79 has held overall. With the downside at 78.25, you can see right there. Well, we'd actually have to go with yesterday's low, which would be 77.87 for support for today. And that's going to do it there. We just didn't move very much at all in FX yesterday. With that, we'll just look at a couple of things here. Here's gold. Well, we've remained below this 50-day moving average. We can't seem to take it out. It's a little bit on the weak side. 17 right there, 1794 will be key if we do go on and break lower. Taking a look here on the 10-year, and I said earlier in the week, this looks like a rounded top. Russell's still staying up there up in the sky. S&P still hanging up here also. And there's Apple not doing anything. Microsoft is still holding up very well up in here, but we're stretched. We're just not garnering much upside momentum. Amazon, no real change. See, and that's what my point is. NASDAQ is continuing to, NQ continues to make a high, but these bigger weighted players at FangMan don't move anywhere. Google's remain up in here and up in this region. And then NVIDIA, not bad here. Facebook hasn't gone anywhere, so it's kind of a mixed bag. Take a look at Tesla, Peloton, PayPal. That was a little bit of worrisome yesterday. eBay. And there we go. Not really a whole lot. And like I said, we'll just have to see how we move into today. Not seeing anything else. If you want to look at some of these bigger players, like GameStop, we're still pushing lower here. Key would be 37.61. AMC has dropped all the way down. Look, remember when it was pushing way up there? Dropped down to $5. And another big player was the American Airlines. So other than that, that's it. There's just not really a whole lot to go over. The only other one we'll push down here would be to Bitcoin. Just says thank you, and let's go to Bitcoin. So if we were to break higher, if there's 50,102 would be the 161% of this recent range. But I thought we were going to really push higher here, and we did. So other than that, that's it. There's not really a whole lot at this point. We'll see what happens. We did get a snapback here. 13,684 is a pivot, and 13,693 is a point of control from yesterday. So maybe we might take a pause from here. But other than that, that's it. We'll have to see what happens until we roll into the States. But thanks for joining us here in the European Crossover webinar, and we'll see you in the chat room.